Hi,
How are you?
good. How are you?
Really
I'm out.
good. Really good. I'm recording, so we're good.
Yay!
How was your leap day?
It was definitely a day. It's actually been like the energies over the past, I don't know, week have been immense and like all
Great.
this stuff coming up to be healed, and it's like, "Whoa!" I'm like, what
Yes,
is going on? Hold on for this. It's like being on a roller coaster.
totally. I agree. I agree. Yesterday, I had a fight with my gym in the morning.
Oh no.
And then I got pulled over.
Oh,
It ended up being my registration was needed to be updated, so it was just like a little warning, but got pulled over, got in trouble. We went night skiing, um, just locally here in Haverhill, and I got yelled at by a ski instructor. Like it just felt like, what the heck? Like
oh
I'm
my
getting
gosh.
attacked from all sides.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's just crazy. Like the energies have been so insane.
They really have. They really have. Well, that means that hopefully soon it will settle down, right? And then we'll see the calm, the rainbow after the storm.
Yeah, I think once we hit that last quarter moon, that things will start to dissipate. So it's definitely and it's Pisces season, so it's when it's
Emotional.
supposed to all come up.
Yes. And we just want to like go for the ride, put our arms up, right? Like,
I'm trying. I'm
yeah,
trying.
that's all we can do.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, so it was so good to when we chatted before just to learn about your journey. It's really quite an extraordinary journey, and I would love if you would mind sharing that again for all of our beautiful members.
Of course, of course. So,
Get to know
um,
you.
how I got to where I am. Yeah, I had a lot of issues growing up, starting with like an eating disorder. That was my first, you know, dip into like there was something missing and I needed to control something. And and it turned into alcoholism and a full-blown, IV heroin addiction. And coming out of that, um, and abusive relationships, like I ran the gamut of how could I beat myself up.
Mm,
And but I was a dancer throughout it all. I went to college for dance. I taught dance. I It's just something that lives within my body, the breath and the movement. And every time I taught from the breath. Um, and then fast forward, like got pregnant, um, and that baby saved my life. She was the reason I got sober. She was, um, I'm gonna cry,
oh,
because today is also the anniversary of my dad's passing. It's been 9 years, and
oh,
like she was his buddy, and he's here. I can feel him. And he's been around a lot this week.
yeah.
And he likes to pull pranks, so things go missing in the house, and they're right where you left them, like 24 hours later. But they weren't there for the last 24 hours. He's good for that kind of stuff. Um,
Yeah,
but
I love that.
you know, she, I, she was definitely born to make me realize that there was something more than like drowning my pain. And
Right.
um, and so I still taught dance after her. But I did the whole mom thing. I fixed my pain in other ways, like being super mom, helping coach softball and helping with the Girl Scout troop and, being involved in the school and the class mom and all that. So I just channeled it elsewhere, but still I wasn't taking care of myself.
Yeah.
After my father passed, and now I had a really big hole because he was my buddy. and he was Jaden's buddy. And I got married 6 months later into a really narcissistic relationship. Like, he was the perfect guy until I got married and moved in, and then the switch flipped, and it was like, oh shit, what did I just do? And I wound up relapsing. I was pregnant when I got married, didn't know it. Had a
Again,
baby
pregnant again.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my second daughter, and after her, like, being locked in the house, no phone, no car, for a little bit, finally got back out to work and tried to go back to teaching dance, and I couldn't do it. And I wound up relapsing. I'm involved in AA. I was away from the program. I couldn't talk to my friends. I couldn't do anything. And it's my fault I relapsed. Like, that's how I got out of where I was at, because I was too scared to just take the kids and leave. And
Mm.
it was a way out. Like, I knew he'd kick me out of the car, and he did for a while.
Because of the relapse?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, but coming out of that, my sister worked for a gym, and I got back into movement. And I went just to be on the front desk, like a get well job. And the yoga teacher got stuck in traffic one day, and they're like, Heather, go upstairs. We know you can teach. The cat's out of the bag, your sister told us. And I was like, oh, okay. And that was it. It started this big, huge journey of teaching all of the things, being a group X instructor, being a personal trainer. But that breath and that movement was still there. There was more. There was more. COVID hit. I went online. There was still more. And I ran programs for a while. They ran, but when you're not energetically in alignment with something and you know it, and the inner you, the higher you knows it, like, things start to dissipate. And that personal training program dissipated into nothing. And it was like, okay, now it's time. And I got a good, swift spiritual kick in the butt through an ancestor. And so I was at the center. I got invited to work with Holistic Life Community, and I was in a session with Laura, and had this vision, and I was sitting on the castle. I knew where I was. I was at my family's castle in Ireland. I was looking into the courtyard. I knew I was in the 1600s, and I saw a woman get walked in, and then it was like blood splattered the camera. They killed her, and Laura had me walk her back out, take her home, ask her name, set up protections around her. And her name was Ashley. And about 2 hours after the session, it hit. That was the Ashley that my oldest daughter used to talk about when she was like 4.
Wow.
And so Ashley's been around a long time. Ashley had come to me when my dad was sick, and like was holding me and rocking me when I was like in a ball puddle on the living room floor. And I saw angels at that point. I would see, and I would tell my daughter. And so I told her the next morning about this woman coming to me, and she's like, oh, did she have on a long purple dress and long dark hair? And I said, yeah. She goes, Mom, that's Ashley. And so here's Ashley again. And Ashley's like, okay, it's time. Like, this is what you know. This is what you've been through. Here is the breath. Here is the movement. It's all coming back. And so in the middle of the night, she would wake me up to move. Random points during the day, all of a sudden, like, these things would pop across my head. I'm driving, and it's like the crown of my head opens up, and there she is. And so I put together the breath and the movement, and that's kind of where I'm at now. And as it evolves, I did it for about 2 months before I started telling any of my current clients about it, because I needed the healing that it provides. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I got to here.
Yes. So, and that was, to be clear, that was a specific protocol, a specific series of movements and breath.
Yeah, and it keeps growing. There's more and more that comes through, and right now specifically, what has happened is I have these women coming to talk to me or reaching out through Facebook Messenger who have had birth trauma, who have been sexually abused in some way, shape, or form, and it's all in the hips and the womb. And so a lot of what's coming through and channeling through now is all about that hip womb area and being able to open it up and heal the parts that feel depleted and broken,
Mm,
because they're not broken. We go through these things because we can help somebody else with it, or it's a healing that is, ancestral or past life. So
mm,
a lot of these women that I've worked with, um, you know, do have something that's in their lineage, that every single woman in their lineage that I can see has been through something like this. And they're here to heal that so it doesn't happen in the future generations. So
wow.
it's just it's amazing. Um, but I think the next step for me is that I have to focus. I've got to focus in on it and start to put things out for women to help them heal with that area. And luckily, we have a doula who just started working here as well.
Hmm.
And so, um, birth is traumatic regardless of whether you actually had like a big event happen. It's
Yeah.
traumatic for your body, your emotions. It's traumatic for the child. Um,
Yeah.
so I think that that's definitely where we're headed.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love that. And I couldn't agree more, having had three children that weren't necessarily, they weren't, prototypically traumatic, but still, yeah, like you said, there's experiences that happen in that process that are, they affect you on a really profound level. And it's beautiful too, and it's traumatic.
Right. And that's the thing.
Very
And
complex.
it's like we talk about all these dualities,
Mm,
and that's one of them. That's one of the big ones is birth. Is like it is traumatic, but it's so beautiful that we have the ability to create a human within our body and that human chose us to come out of, and that's the beauty of it. Like I said, my daughter saved my life. If she hadn't come, I'd be dead. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
mm,
I
mm,
shouldn't be here. I died twice, you
mm.
know?
Yeah.
And so obviously here for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Clearly. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing now. Like what is the work that you're doing in this time? Where are you? How can people find you and work with you?
Right now, I'm running some classes. I work mainly out of Holistic Life Community in Wakefield. It's right on the lake, and we have beautiful lake views. I wish I was in the other room because I'd turn the camera so you could see. You've been here, though.
Yeah, it's a beautiful view.
I have all the willow branches in my room right now
That's awesome.
because I'm gonna make something with them. But
Mm.
so right now I have some classes running. Tonight I have cacao and movement with Liz Leonard. I'm doing a lot of collaborations.
Yay.
Um, I have the Bloom event coming up, which is for mothers. It is geared towards getting yourself off the back burner and taking your dreams and desires and setting the intentions of them, because we all have those that we kind of like, oh no, I can't do that, I got to take care of the kids, I can't do that, my partner needs X, Y, and Z. Sooner or later I'll get to my dreams and desires,
Right.
and sooner or later is like when we're 60 and 70 and 80 and maybe don't function the same way.
Right.
So it's to get there now. So Bloom is all about like that garden of your soul and getting the limiting beliefs, the societal norms, all of this stuff, beliefs we've taken on since childhood out of the way, planting the garden and how to foster it to bloom. So, and we
Beautiful. Beautiful.
so that's April 12th through the 14th. It's a 3-day immersion. So there's no overnights. It's really good for local in place of having to go somewhere for a retreat. And I have a discount code for women in this group. They
Oh,
can
great.
use 10% off and get 10% off the cost of the
Oh,
retreat if they'd like to. And then let's see, March we also have embodying your roots in the month of the emerald. My friend Elle is coming in from California. She does mycelial healing, so everything comes in through the earth. She's amazing. We're doing a somatic class together. I have a Mother's Day event for moms, um, and it is in healing the womb. And it is collaborated with Danette, who is a birth doula. Um, we also have May 4th and
um, can I
5th.
just ask, is that on Mother's Day?
It's on Mother's Day. It's 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Beautiful.
we all know moms are like, oh yeah, we're gonna have our children for Mother's Day, when all moms really want is like a little break from their children on Mother's Day. So like, here's your 2 hours. Come take 2 hours, you
Yeah.
know.
I love that.
Um, and then the next immersion we have is a 2-day, which is May 4th and 5th. And I'm involved in that one. Laura Dillon's running it, but I will be in and out doing some breath and movement with everybody over the 2 days. I'm I have one-on-one space,
Okay.
um, Mondays, Thursdays, and no, Fridays I don't have any more space. Mondays and Thursdays I have space for one-on-ones. Um, if that's what somebody's looking for, because sometimes being in a group can be intimidating. And there will be now a membership through here
Okay.
that I will be teaching 8 classes a week. So every Monday, every Friday at 12:30, it's a good little lunch break.
Mm-hmm.
There are other classes that will run during the week that other people are running, but I'm going to run a pound, a breath and Pilates, a restorative yoga, and a somatic energy boost. So they'll alternate on the
Okay.
Mondays and Fridays, and that's kind of it for now.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. I do have
Great.
online stuff, but I've kind of like, I do
Okay.
online one-on-ones, but I've put the programs on the back burner for right now. I want to
Okay.
reconfigure.
And with the protocol that you've channeled and created and birthed, is that something you do one-on-one?
I do it one-on-one right now. I do have an 8-week online, but I need to,
Hmm.
I want to reconfigure how I'm doing it, where all of this stuff about the womb spaces come up, and I think I need to gear it more towards that. So I've kind of pulled it off for the moment, and it will
That's
probably relaunch around the end of April or May.
okay.
And that's an 8-week online, um, where you get a free pass to the Rebel membership, which is everything from breath, movement, meditations, Pilates, yoga, strength training, cardio boxing, you name it, it's on there, but it's an all-in-one space where you just go click the module you want for the day. It drops down about 50 to 60 classes. Click on and have fun.
So cool. Oh my gosh.
So
This is
that,
awesome. I
yeah,
just I just so appreciate you doing this work. Like it's just like it's so I feel like it's so needed. It's so necessary. to just hold these spaces for women to acknowledge what's going on for them and bring awareness to all the different ways in which we've been told to suppress our emotions, and we've been not encouraged to move our bodies, really. Like, I was just thinking about this before our call, like, we don't, in our society today, we don't really have the space or the time set apart for just like movement for the sake of movement,
Right.
right? Like, and then a lot of us, we spend a lot of our time just sitting at our desk during the day or in our office or at our computer. And then we, watch a movie at night, right? Or we go out to dinner and we're sitting and like, but that's, it wasn't always like that, right? Like back in tribal days, they were always dancing.
You're
They're
always moving.
always moving. And even like last century, there
Right.
were dinner and dancing. Like you'd go
Hmm.
out, you do the polka, or you do swing dancing, or you whatever, Lindy Hop. Like that was a lot more common and a lot more
Right.
part of life.
Yes.
It feels like these days it's not. It's more sedentary. And where
So,
we go to the gym, sure, but where's the
right.
movement just for the sake of the movement, the joy of the movement, right?
So at my house we have dance parties, and right now, like my little one's on a Taylor Swift kick. So
Yep.
we have Taylor Swift dance parties, or Sing Two. That's another one. But that's funny because it pulls in like U2, and the songs in there are, based around U2 songs. And
This is the movie Sing 2.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I love it. Yeah. That is a
So
good
like we have these. I don't have TV in my house.
one. Okay.
We don't have cable.
Awesome.
We have nothing. And I haven't had it since my oldest was 2. Because I figure, A, why pay for something when we're never home? And B, there's so much more we could be doing,
Yeah.
So dance
Right.
parties, and we've started to have dance parties at work, noontime. We meet in the studio, throw on music for 15 minutes, and just move. you
Yay.
know? So if you're sitting in your office, take 5 minutes, throw your headphones in, close the door, and move. Just let it go, let it out. Because that movement, A, not only boosts the serotonin levels in your brain, B, it's moving energy that's stuck in your body that you don't necessarily realize you're holding on to. Like you'll feel it 3 days from now because it's still there. But moving that energy out so it's not stuck, or getting outside. And I worked for an ambulance company at one point, and I don't sit still well, obviously. Um, so so I would, when I could take a 5-minute break and somebody could come in and take the headset, I would run outside, and we had this huge building, and I would just lap around the building, just around and around and around and around, walking, running, whatever I needed to do that day to get the movement out. And at the time, I didn't realize it was because I was releasing all this energy that was coming in from people calling for the ambulance, or for, the ambulance, the EMTs calling and saying, okay, I'm here, here's the scene, here's what, and it needed to go.
Right. Need to go somewhere.
It's
Need
got to
to go.
go.
Mhm.
So just finding 5 minutes. Do
Yeah.
the breath breaks,
Yeah.
a
I
minute and a
find
half.
yes. And I love that you do those on your Facebook profile. So if anyone wants to find out more, friend you on Facebook, follow you on Facebook, and you do those quite often,
Yep.
where you just take the breath break and you take the movement break and you guide people through it so that they can just have that few minutes to get back into their body and get into the flow.
Yeah.
So, it's just so valuable. Like I find that, if I'm sitting too long, like just, yeah, the energy just gets stagnant. And so I often just get up and like walk around my home office or go outside or have a dance break, and the inspiration flows.
Yeah.
The ideas start flowing, the
Yeah.
creativity starts flowing. And it's interesting how it really like energetically just the frequency changes, right? The vibration shifts, and that makes everything shift.
Yep. Yep.
And that's why we do the swamps too in here every
Yes.
month to shift the energy, move the energy, clear out the stagnation. Because that's the other thing, like we don't in our society, there's a prejudice against actually feeling your feelings.
Yeah. No, it's not allowed.
No. I mean, how are you? Good, and that's it. Like there's no real room for feeling except for just kind of here. Like
Right. Well, and that's why like I like the word fine. So when somebody tells me they're fine, I'm like, okay, fucked up, neurotic, insecure, and emotional.
yeah.
Is that how you're feeling? And they look at me like, what? And I'm like, that's what fine is. Like, fine is a swear word in my house because the kids know if mommy says she's fine, then all sorts of stuff's going down.
That is awesome. It's so true.
But really, like when you say you're fine, you know you're not.
Right. It's
You
basically
know?
like a don't talk to me about it. I can't talk
Right.
about it because I'm going to cry.
Right.
And that's not okay, right? We're not supposed to be that emotional. We're not supposed to show our sadness or anger.
Yeah.
But at the same time, and I know we both had a sobriety journey, and that was one of the biggest lessons for that for me was you need to go through the emotion
Mm-hmm.
or it
Just like
doesn't
a
go
buffalo.
away. It doesn't go away. It stays in your body and it stagnates and it goes toxic and it comes back around. But if you allow yourself to feel it, right? And then don't numb out with alcohol or drugs or anything else, you can then process it and then you can clear it
Right.
or go
Right.
through it.
Yeah. And like it, like a buffalo goes straight through the storm because that's the quickest way through.
I love that.
They're the only animal that doesn't turn and go around a storm. They head straight through. And so
Interesting.
I always think of that. And buffalo is associated with the true north.
Ah,
So by going through your emotions, you're getting to your true north. You know where you're
exactly.
headed.
Exactly. You can feel so much more intuitive and
Hmm.
clear after you've been through that storm, right?
Yeah.
It's like how the sky is like so fresh and clear after a storm. It's like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
Gift. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, in the body, like we're made up of all of the elements. We have the air and the ether and the fire and the water and the earth within our body. And so as we see things outside and they resonate so deeply because it's part of us. It's all made up from the same stardust, you
Mm,
know?
mhm.
It's just in different forms. So like being here and having like the earth so nearby and having Mother Willow outside to go and visit, like that's how I ground. Like run outside in the middle of the day, hands on the tree, feet on her roots, and I'm like, okay, Mama Willow, where am I going? And it's funny because she'll nudge like right or left, lean more into your feminine, lean more into your masculine. Like which way do I need to go?
I love that.
And
Mother.
yeah. Oh wait, I'm gonna take you out there next time you're here.
Yeah, please do. Yeah,
I
I want
can't
to
wait
feel
for
the
summer
energy.
because
I
then we can have
know.
classes out there.
Yes, yes. That's beautiful. Um, yeah, so I think those are some of the reasons that somatic healing is so effective, right? Because it's the movement, it's the emotional clearing, all that stuff that gets to be expressed and therefore come out and stop
Right.
blocking our energy, right?
Right. But it also changes scientifically, like it changes the body on a cellular level because we all know about body memory. Like you ride a bike, you learn how to ride a bike, you never forget. You may wobble when you get back on 10 years later, but it comes right
Welcome
back
back.
because
Hmm.
of muscle memory. But
Yeah.
cellular memory is there too. So those times when we felt these things that we didn't let go of and we kind of closed in, whether it's cognitive or it was in a precognitive, before the age of 2, you close And the cells remember that. So that's why the breath, when we can over oxygenate the cells and return them to their original state, and the movement releases that extra energy that has been stored. So it's not, you may or may not remember why,
Mm,
and it does, and the brain will block, because that's what it does. It keeps you safe. It puts the
yeah.
wall up. You will not remember this. Um,
Right.
but the body can release it. And from there, we find that like anxiety isn't anxiety anymore. It's like a little underneath the
Mm,
skin. And we don't
yeah.
have these big like attacks, you know?
It's like you can notice it as an observer rather than it being all consuming.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And and release it without judgment. Okay. So I felt a little worried, I felt a little scared, I felt a little from this situation, and let it pass without judgment. Maybe a reason why pops up and maybe not. But sooner
Right.
or later those little situations become even smaller, you
Mm,
know?
yeah. Yeah. Where you can get back in the driver's seat, right? And it's like an
Yeah.
emotional mastery because you're not avoiding it anymore.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
back in control. Yeah. So, was there a time, because this talk was titled Self-Love Journey Through Somatic Healing. So I'm curious, was there a time in your journey when you realized that self-love was kind of the medicine for
Yeah.
you? Or a
And
moment like that for
it's
you?
yeah, and it's still a journey. It's still finding those pieces, but after I separated from my now ex-husband, um, my first instinct was to put all of my energy into work, into the kids, and all of my energy was going this way. And you know what happens? You burn out, you break down. And I did like I I broke two bones in my foot. I taught class in the boot. Or I took the boot off and just kept the foot off the floor, like teaching yoga on one foot. This
Oh my
is what I
God.
did because I couldn't come, I couldn't love myself. I was loving myself through work. I was loving myself through my kids. And when all of this breath work and movement started to come through, that's when it came up. It was like all of my energy was going to all of these other places because I couldn't love myself. And I couldn't love myself because of the shadows of the past and the shame from the relapse and all of this stuff. And it was really about stopping and looking at those pieces. And it's funny, I just had this conversation at 9 a.m. this morning
Mm,
that, like, stopping and looking at all of those pieces, and instead of leaving them as a shadow, bringing them around and letting them light up. What what happened when all of that stuff happened? I loved myself enough to leave the relationship fully because he wanted me to, after I was okay for about 4 years, then all of a sudden he wanted to like rekindle the relationship and didn't want me to file for divorce. No, I filed for the divorce. I have custody of my youngest. I mean, my oldest is mine. That's a whole nother
right. Okay.
story. Um, but having enough love to speak up for myself in front of a judge without a lawyer, because I affording a lawyer is like ridiculous.
Yeah.
So having enough, and not just for my child, but for myself, standing
Yeah.
up for myself, finding my voice
Yeah.
that like I didn't have. I would nod, but I couldn't talk. And
Mm,
and that all came up as I had to find anchors that would anchor me into myself. So things that I would put around the house that when I saw it, I was like, okay, anchor back into self, love self first. Anchor back into self, love self first through food. Pesto, one of my favorite like things to eat as a child.
Yeah.
Because my mom's Italian, so and
Ah,
my dad's Irish, but he was a landscaper for a long time. So we had gardens like you wouldn't believe, and fresh food, and I going out to pick the basil and the smell of the basil and like
smell.
stuffing it into the cup was my favorite thing to do, and
Yeah.
then being able to go in and make the pesto, and
Yes. Yes. So good.
so finding that as an anchor, making pesto so that like when I was gonna go have lunch, that was my self-love treat. I was gonna have pesto. And just these little things. And Shaitan Rogers, who is in Spiritual Women of New England, she taught me so much about loving myself and making a self-love playlist, of music that like I want to dance with somebody. I want to dance with myself. Like, let's go.
Uh-huh.
I don't care about anyone else. And then also finding
Yep.
the self-love for my body, which I had tortured for years,
Yep.
you know, finding the self-love for being a woman, being sexual, being sensual, which like that has been a fairly new part because it took me a while to like really be able to go, okay, I love my body for what it is. I love it for what it's done, but like sensual and sexual, no, that was hard. But
It's
eh,
been demonized.
yeah, so it comes in these pieces. Like you talk about the good girl syndrome. You
Right.
know, like
Right.
that was a huge thing for me to get over. I don't have to be a good girl. Fuck you. Like, I can be an asshole all I want. I can be spiritual and swear. You can't tell me I can't, you
Right.
know?
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
But my ex
Reality. We
really
have.
demonized my mouth and how I spoke and how can you be spiritual if you talk like this? And how can you be spiritual if you act like this? And it took me a long time to get out of those like loops in my head.
Yeah, I
So
just had a realization the other day that, sacred and um oh gosh, now I've lost the word. Sacred and
sensual,
sensual. No, there's what's the other word? It's like sacral, like which is where your desire, where your passion lies,
right?
where your sensuality is. They're the same root, right?
Exactly.
They're
Yeah.
connected like this. They come from the same
Yes.
place, but we've been taught
Yes.
that they're separate and they're not, you can't be both. You're one or the other. You're the Madonna or you're the whore.
Right. Exactly. But that's not
Yeah.
it. It's not it at
No,
all.
no, they're one and the same.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's
It's our creativity, it's our life force, it's our passion,
right.
it's our connection to our energy and our spirituality and our energy are the same thing.
Right. So and I think that like all of these women coming to me more recently is because I finally got over I passed through that
Yeah.
section of like, okay, this space is sacred. Like you said, it is the sacral area and it has healed. And once it heals, it's like it's okay to like love every single bit of me.
Mm-hmm. It's not naughty. It's not
It's
wrong.
not naughty,
Not
you know?
sinful. Yeah.
No.
Mm-mm.
So,
I
yeah.
uh I love the book Mary Magdalene Revealed. I don't know if you've ever read that one.
No.
It's
Awesome.
basically, yeah, side note, but it's basically the lost gospels of Mary Magdalene, who was not a prostitute at all. That was just a complete lies. She was actually an apostle, and by many accounts, the closest one to him. But her gospels had been lost and buried and burned because she was sort of demonized as this prostitute because patriarchy. And
Right.
so, but the author of this book, Megan Waterston, she's actually a theologian at Harvard, and she has been able to pull together some of these lost gospels of hers. And one of the main things that she wrote about was that there, and this is directly from Jesus. She took this notes basically from Jesus. She said, there's no sin, there's no such thing as sin, except the only sin is when we betray ourselves,
Yeah.
the truth of who we are, when we abandon parts of ourselves, which includes abandoning our sensuality or abandoning our own wisdom, all those things,
Yeah.
self-worth, our power, right? So isn't that interesting? What a different
I love
take
it. I love
on,
it.
on
That's amazing.
Christianity. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I would be Christian if that was what I was taught about it,
Yeah.
different.
No, I mean, I grew up Irish Catholic, so um I I had a very uh let's say liberal priest. Um and he was like the one who told my mother after 42 years of marriage to leave my father, and
Wow.
they did separate, at
Wow.
42 years of marriage, but they were still best friends. They just stopped living together, but he was the one who told me to divorce my husband. He was like, get out of there and get a divorce. He goes, forget about having it annulled. Don't worry about it. It doesn't mean anything.
That's great.
So he was like that. He saw through, but it was his way of at least leading people in something that was greater than them. And so
Yeah.
just but when he left, I left the church. And also like coming into this spiritual thing and knowing that like Jesus and Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary they're ascended masters. Like they're there. They were here to do, amazing things. And they did. And now that they're higher, we still can connect with them on a completely different level and ask for help, you know.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
it's not seeing them as the end all be all, which is what
Right.
Christianity wants you to believe.
Right. It's not that we need a go-between,
Yeah,
like
no.
have our own connection to source.
Yeah.
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 Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, we've covered so much ground, and I would just love to bring this for full circle and just touch back on what you talked about in the beginning with Ashley and um, again, your own connection, your own intuition kind of giving you this insight that has really become, your purpose and work in the world. It seems to me that's what I'm getting, right?
Yeah.
I would just love like your ancestral lineage. Can you just talk a little bit about kind of your experience with that, the story around that?
So yeah, so after I had that vision, I immediately like got on, looked up the castle, and I was like, yep, that's it. Okay. So where do I go from here? Um, and it was funny because my oldest one, where we don't have any connection with her birth father, sperm donor, whatever you want to call him. We don't have any connection with that side.
Okay.
So she's kind of like in this space of like wondering where does this come from though? Because this is not from you, Mom. Like why am I this way? So we did the DNA test, and yeah, I came back mostly Irish. And and then the next is the Italian from my mother's side. So I'm like 38, 28, and then a couple of little like percentages after that of like random things, because no matter where it was, the Italian side or the Irish side, we were on ports. So we
Oh,
were very close to the water. So people coming in, and this is why I have like Aegean Islands and a little bit of Germanic and, all of
so
this stuff.
interesting.
But tracing that lineage back. And I've gotten back to the 1700s right now, and I'm still digging, because I
That's so
want to find her. I know when I looked up the time period,
yes.
1659, the castle was invaded, Roman Catholic coming in to take over. She was not, they were very much a Druid shamanic lineage. And
Mhm.
it does, like, I've done sessions with people where they can trace my lineage all the way back to Druidism, which is amazing because it makes a lot of sense of why I connect to things the way I do, and seeing like
Yeah.
energy and connecting with plants and animals and all of this stuff. Like, I'm
Ye-
very much into the earth, and I do well when I'm in the earth. Um,
Yeah.
but so really, like, tracing it back and finding all of this stuff out about where we come from, and it's been amazing. As she's like poking through, she's like, "Hi, I'm here." Hi, Ashley. Um, and then
So that moment that you saw, right, with the blood,
yeah,
you found out what that was.
she was killed because she wouldn't conform, and that's where I believe this movement comes from, of having the hands, the wrists crossed, and not in prayer position.
Oh, I got chills. Oh my God.
So I feel it in my heart when I do it. It's like an immediate, like, going from here to here. It's like right in my heart center. But it is also like when we cross the wrist and you can open the energy centers of your hands up. It's that yin and yang. It's that duality. It's crossing the masculine and the feminine. It's reaching the masculine out into the feminine out into the masculine side, and knowing that right in the center is your divinity. And sometimes she has like join the thumbs and place them there, place them down a little lower. But like,
Yes.
and the thumbs, it's funny because like the thumbs in yoga can be, in some lines of yoga, are your divinity fingers. So you're crossing you're joining the masculine and feminine, the divine parts. So finding that divine feminine, the sacred masculine, and not the toxic.
Right.
So,
That's
and
so
that's like
cool.
a big piece of it.
The hands are
Like,
so powerful, right? You think of all the
all through.
mudras that we do for in
Right.
yoga or, in different traditions.
And
That's
even in like qigong, like, I studied with, I didn't study, I was talking to Donald Wong, who's actually like our state rep in Wakefield, but
oh,
he's a master, and has taught for his entire life. But he's like, first thing I want you to learn to do is literally make your hands, no gaps in the fingers, place the thumbs together for 90 days, be able to just sit and feel the energy swirl in your hands. And once you get like the energy moving,
mm,
you can literally like create this ball of energy that you feel swirling between your two hands. And I have people take those balls and place them where there's pain in the body, shifting the energy in the body. Your hands are so freaking powerful. That's why somebody's touch
mm.
can make a pain or an emotion seem like it drips right off.
Yes. And of course, I'm thinking about I do Marconics energy healing,
Yeah,
using the hands, beaming energy towards certain points in the body,
yeah,
meridians, the exotonal lines, the chakras. It comes through the hands. Yeah,
right.
that
So
is so
they're
cool.
super powerful.
Mm. Well, that's super exciting too that you're able to learn so much about your lineage and connect the dots back through history and you're able to sometimes see other people's lineages. Did I hear that right too?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And it's new. It's a new
Okay.
gift. And things have been opening up more. Like I was not a seer before, and now I see. Um, I'm starting to like see visions and see people's past lives and see their lineage heading back. So I'm
Mm,
still trying to figure out how to hone it, but it does happen, and when it happens, I just let it come through.
mm.
Um, so
Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Heather, for just sharing about your gifts and your journey and all the work that you're doing in this world. It's just beautiful. And I
thank
really
you.
appreciate your time. Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
of course. And I can't wait to, see you at one of your events or do a collaboration and continue learning through you. So
Well, if anybody's interested in the group, we do have another spiritual meetup coming up. That's a free event here.
okay, great,
It's on March 15th at 10:30.
great.
So that's something that people can come to, just sit and talk,
Yep,
meet other people, other business owners, other women who are in that same line of looking to heal and helping others.
that's like the one I went to in
Yes.
February, right? That was
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, just to
Yeah. So we're
connect.
gonna run the third Friday of every month will be a spiritual meetup.
Great. If you'd like to post that in the group, that would be great.
Okay, we'll
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
We'll
post the
do.
link. Yeah, for register. Awesome, Heather. Thank you so much again. And
Thank you.
we'll talk soon. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
Thank you.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.
Bye.